What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you.
All right, guys, let's talk about something we all need. High quality, comfortable, stylish clothing that actually holds up in real life. Whether you're grinding at work, hitting the gym, or just hanging out, the Normal brand has you covered. I've been rocking their gear, and let me tell you, it's not your average clothing line. They've nailed it perfect with the perfect blend of durability, comfort, style, whether it's a go-to rugged Henley, a hoodie, a button-down that doesn't make you feel like a stiff, the Normal brand is where it's at. The best part is you can support the show while upgrading your wardrobe. Just hit the link in the description below. Check out their collection. Trust me, once you try it, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. The Normal brand. Made for real life, built to last. Now go check them out.
Shout out to our friends over at Captain Beard Co. Guys, if you are looking for beard care products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, give Captain Beard Co. a try. They have this unbelievable beard butter, balm, oils, and then it smells amazing. Ladies, if you're looking for something for your men as a gift to help with their grooming, check them out. Also, if you guys are looking to just set the mood one night, candles, unbelievably smelling candles, made with all natural ingredients here locally to St. Louis. Give them a shot. Also, while you're there, use the promo code Zach and Pat for 10% off your purchase.
Hey there, guys. We really appreciate you checking out the Zach and Pat Show. If you can obviously tell, we are a newer podcast, but one way we're really trying to grow the show is trying to get up the amount of subscribers we have. So, you know, if you're watching the show and you're getting something out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. That would help us out a ton. Please click that button. And now back to the show.
We have a very special guest in studio today. He is a professional boxer, a hell of a barber.
Thank you.
Professor CUTZ himself, the great and powerful Joe Heintz. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, sir. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, dude, I'm happy to get you in here, man. I've been wanting to do this for a while just because, you know, you've been cutting my hair for a while now, and I just feel like we always have great conversations when you're cutting my hair, and you're just a friend of mine, and we have a lot of fun, and I just thought you'd be a fun guy to talk about, and we talk about a lot about fighting and stuff on the show too. So you know, you fit right into the mold.
Ticks off all categories.
Yeah, and he's about to be a father,
except the real estate.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that all that much.
Not my game.
No, it's all good. We don't. Well, you're right in the middle of buying and selling right now. So yeah,
it's miserable. I don't know how you do it.
It's the world we live in.
Because I know you're getting messages
constantly right now.
Up till midnight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Probably right now. Yeah, it's like anytime we get out of these podcasts, Pat and I are both like, fuck. What fires are, but that is like one of my favorite things about the podcast though, because it does kind of shut off the rest of the world. Like it's like how often do we sit down now across, I mean, I guess you do it all the time where you're having conversations with people, you're cutting their hair, like where they're not on their phone or they're, you know, you're actually just kind of focused on nothing but even then you're focusing, you're doing your job. So it's kind of, you can't exactly
and
like focus
you
on
only got, 30, 45 minutes max. So, some guys, they want to stay and talk, and I enjoy talking to some people. So we'll talk all day if we could.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, go grab a drink and bring it, sit down.
That old barbershop feel where everybody's just hanging out, chilling. And
it's definitely
shooting
that
shit
vibe at your place.
That's
like,
awesome.
You're, especially you and the guy next to you, Krabby. You guys bicker like an old married couple. It's fucking hilarious.
He says he's my younger, older brother. It is what it is. He looks older than me.
Yeah, you guys definitely have that like brotherly like bicker, banter, fuck with each other constantly.
Some of the shit I say though, he'll be in tears, and then I have to think back, and I'm like, what the did I just say? like what?
I do want to kind of dive into the boxing stuff. So like when did you start with boxing? I know you were doing it in high school. Like how did that all start for you? What where did it stem from?
Started 5th grade. I was addicted to watching Rockies. And it was still on VHS, so you have to rewind it like to the perfect spot. But yeah, I just always kind of had anger issues, and my dad, he had to get me into something besides soccer or football or even basketball. I was always getting fouled out. So, and I'm little, like I said, so I wasn't gonna have a career in that.
Yeah.
But 13 down the South Broadway, get my ass kicked on a regular basis. Kind of a brawler, and then. A little bit here and there through high school. It was just kind of off and on. for the last 21 years now.
Yeah.
Linked up with my trainer Mike, Too Good Boxing out in St. Charles, 2015, 16. Took me to semifinals in the 17 Gold Gloves. It was a great experience. Didn't get the victory, but
Yeah.
had some
Still
buddies
pretty
got
awesome.
to. Yeah, it was a great show. A lot of people out there. It's nerve-wracking. I mean, so. But now I just, I'm trying to eke every little ounce that I have left in it. I mean, it's a young man's game, so I only can get hit in the face for a few more years, and then
Right.
Then
it's coaching from there.
yeah, it's gonna have to be coaching.
Well, maybe you get into grappling, dude. 'Cause you can do that for a long time.
I don't know about that.
It's
I'm just hoping I'm a better coach than I am fighter. Because maybe my fighters will get somewhere. But yeah, we just turned pro last October. Fought a real experienced guy, Ryan Counterman. Real tough guy. I learned a lot though. The weight cut, the actual preparation for a pro fight. It was a very good experience. Just ready to get that W next time,
Yeah.
Well, congrats on
So,
going pro, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, Sonny keeps talking shit at the
Yeah.
shop. They all say I got my ass whooped. It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
You guys are hilarious. Like, it's so funny. You guys constantly just talk shit to each other.
Well, yeah, and before the pro debut, that's all he says. Like, man, this motherfucker's getting knocked out.
Yeah.
He's getting knocked out. But I knew he was, he was fucking with me. But at the same time, it's like, man, I can't get knocked out.
Yeah.
I can't be out cold. Like,
Yeah. Well,
So-
how did that first pro fight compare to all your other amateur fights before then?
Honestly, I think my head was in a lot better place for the pro fight. I kind of, I would get in my own head in the amateurs, so it was kind of a mental breakthrough for me. Even with the loss, it was kind of less nerve-wracking. I knew me and Mike had put in everything into, the training camp, and my sparring partners were phenomenal. So we really just tried to go out there and show them what we were working on. And when I was in the amateurs, I would worry about, oh, this guy's so good. He's bigger than me. He's faster than me, more technical. But with going into the pros, you got to worry about yourself and what you do well, and then capitalize on their mistakes. So it's a little bit different, but it's definitely more methodical, if you will, when you're in there. So you really got to watch for mistakes on your end and their end. So
Makes sense.
Yeah, they're probably a lot quicker to jump on those mistakes than they were in the amateur level.
oh yeah. Because that's we're sparring all the time. So unless Mike's asking me to spar, then I'm like, nah, man, I'm not sparring today. I don't want to get my ass kicked. But nah, we a couple times a week right now. I'm older, so anything more if I'm not in training camp. It's
Well, I feel like sparring. I mean, yeah. So how many times do you think 2-3 times a week you're sparring?
right now it's one day a week. I
was gonna say,
do
feel like
on
that's a
Mondays.
lot. I feel like
Yeah.
anything more than one or two,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot.
I really
I'm not-
enjoy doing twice a week. If I could do a Monday day and Thursday or Saturday if I have a fight,
Mhm.
that's a pretty good schedule for me.
You just don't want to overdo it. And
Right.
really,
Right.
a lot of wars are lost
Right.
in, won and lost in the gym, and you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want to save those wars for the ring.
Yep. They say the training should always be harder. The sparring should be harder, and if it is, then you're doing it right. So
Yeah, but that's a lot of blows to be taken,
I take a lot.
Does that ever concern you with like the concussions and CTE and all the things that you're hearing about these days?
It does for later on in life, just for
Yeah.
my kids and my wife, and I don't want to end up with Parkinson's
Right.
or like Muhammad Ali and all that. I don't want to worry about that too much, but at the same time, I know in the back of my head, being on the older side now, it's gonna play a factor. So hopefully, I got a couple more years, and after that, I'm not
Yes.
too punch drunk.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, do you have a timeline on or a time limit on how long you're gonna ride on the pro side of things?
if my body holds up, I'm thinking till 40.
Okay.
If I can fight till 40, I'll feel very blessed. I already did what I set out to do as far as making that pro leap. Thought I fought a very well thought out game plan. He got me with some body shots. I'm not gonna lie. I think I, shit when I went home real quick. But it was a great experience. I'm hoping if I can get to 40, so 5-6 more years.
And do you have a set number of fights that you're wanting to try to get to, or in each per year, or is it just kind of as they come, you're going to take them?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few offers already, but they're more B-sided fights, and at this point, it's weird. The business behind it is different. So it's like you almost gotta fight some, I don't want to say cab drivers in the beginning, but you got some tomato cans to build your record, and then these promoters will notice you, and then they'll invest some money your way, and that's how you kind of take off and start taking those hard fights. I knew, going into the pro debut, not having a extensive amateur background or, any medals from nationals or anything like that, I was going to have to take a B fight. And I mean, they took care of me on this promotion. So I'm hoping by October, they'll ask me to be back. But yeah, I mean, as far as the number goes each year, man, if I can shoot for 2 to 3, 2 would be great. I don't want to get too, ring rust in between. So.
Yeah. Well, if you, in your opinion, what's one thing about boxing that most people just misunderstand?
I think they may feel like it's just a hurt business completely. Like you're just straight up going out to kill the other person. In my head, especially in the pro game now, excuse me. I think it's, like I said, more methodical. I'm trying to break you down mentally and physically, but I'm not trying to kill you. At the end of the day, we both typically have jobs to go back to and families to go back to. So
at this level of the game.
Yeah.
Like I know in baseball, the famous Yogi Berra-ism, 90% of the game is mental, the other half is physical. Would you say that boxing is similar to that, where it's just a more mental game than it is actual physical?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to be in shape, and there's a difference between being in shape and being in fight shape. They'll say it all the time. But yeah, it's definitely mental. I mean, as good a shape as I got myself in over the years, amateur wise, it was always the mentality when you get in there. It's almost like a shell shock. Like you're like, oh shit. Like, but now it's like, well, I already put in the work in the gym. I know what I can do, so I'm not using that nervousness as being scared. I'm more using it to, okay, let's be on my toes and let's do it,
Yeah. Do you think more young guys need to get punched in the face literally or metaphorically?
I don't know about getting punched in the face, but I think a contact sport of some sort definitely builds you up, whether you be, female, male, anything. I think it builds your mentality up, it builds your physicality up, and at least, you may be playing football and you get smacked in the mouth. Me and you have played, and everybody, one of us is coming out sometimes, busted up. So, whether it be boxing or MMA of some sort, jiu-jitsu, judo, anything, I mean, they're all respected, they're all well-rounded, and I definitely think whether you're male or female, you need to have some sort of self-defense and at least know you can protect yourself and, your family.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's something to the aspect of just doing something very difficult, something that scares you.
Right.
Like it's scary to go into a fight gym. It's scary to step on the football field and strap the pads on and, have another guy running full clip at you. It's terrifying.
Especially when we're not out here running 4.5s and hit sticking motherfuckers,
Right, exactly.
I'm little guy. Krabby says I'm victim weight, whatever,
Yeah,
I was just going to say, I was like, yeah, I mean, every time we leave the gym, jiu-jitsu gym, I'm like peeling myself off the mat because that's literally the hardest thing that I'll have done that day. And I know the rest of the day is going to be super easy after that.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. It's a grind for sure. It's not no matter what combat sport it is, it's going to be difficult. Like, I've done a little bit of kickboxing and Muay Thai and stuff. And I mean, that's extremely difficult too.
Right.
Like, it's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's exhausting. And I think it would benefit more people from doing combat sports or just difficult contact sports in general.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely something I want to get my boys into, if they're willing and if they want to. We were talking about on the last podcast a lot about how, like we don't want to force your kids into doing something, because then, you can't make them love something, but you can make them hate something.
Right.
And, and trying to, dance that line of like, showing them it, but not making it their life.
Well, you want them to have fun early on too,
Mm-hmm.
Some parents, they're like, oh, well, it's only about fun. It's only about fun to an extent. I'm not a big consolation prize guy. So, you hit an age where there are winners and losers. Like,
yeah.
So you got to deal with it.
Right.
I mean, that's life though. Like,
right.
Being an adult, it's winning and losing.
Right.
So,
And I think that's especially with a one-on-one contact sport, when you lose, you got to figure out how to deal with it. You don't have a teammate, picking you up right away. You got you in the ring and your trainer. And as my trainer, Mike, says, I mean, very, wisely, he says, I can prepare you as well as I can, but I can't fight for you, So, and it never hit me. It never rang true until a year ago.
Wow.
Well, I mean, we're talking about pain and all that. So you've been doing this for over 20 years now. How's your relationship with pain, both physical and emotional, evolved over time?
When I was younger, definitely didn't know how to deal with it. Like I said, I had anger issues, didn't have it all my shit sorted out, But I think it's helped me over the years deal with it, because I know if it's not something that's snapped or sticking out of my leg or my arm or sticking out of my skin, it'll heal. Like, it may take some time, but time will heal. Like, it will heal. So I think, back in the day, if I broke my nose or, tore my shoulder, I'm freaking out. I think it's the end of the world, but there's always tomorrow, and there's only place to go is up. So
Not gonna sit around, be sad, a sad boy, and
yeah.
Well, it teaches you patience too. I mean, that's a huge aspect that I feel like in our world today that people are forgetting. Like, everybody wants instant gratification, but once you get hurt, like, you can't rush that shit back. You gotta be patient with it, and which, I mean, especially, I know you're a stepfather, but soon to be a father of your own. I mean, that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned as a dad is patience.
Yeah, and I was lucky that my stepdaughter's 12 and 16 now, God love them. But now I'm into the teenage years with the girls. So I never experienced the, newborn through, fourth, fifth grade. So it's going to be an adventure. We'll see how it turns out. Yeah.
How long have you been in their lives?
Last 5 years.
Okay.
So Isabel was 7 and she's going on. No, she just turned 12. Dang it. I got a preteen and a teenager.
Wow, dude.
They're fun, dude. Let me tell you. Yeah. No, they keep me on my toes, and it's about patience. I think, honestly, they're one of the best things that happened to me because of the whole patience aspect, and I still have an issue sometimes. I'll flip out when it's like they're not grasping it, but that's more on my patience that, I need to keep working on. So
yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. Have you ever worried about like breaking a hand and not being able to cut hair? Something that just occurred to me, because I know that's something that can happen. Obviously, I
have. As long as it's one hand, I guess I'm gonna have to fucking teach myself to cut with the other hand. So because that's the one thing. I mean,
work that right hand, bro.
Yeah, I'll just have to figure it out. Working for yourself, you have to be there.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's just something I just thought of. I was like, fuck, what if he breaks one of his hands?
Yeah, I mean, and what was it? 4 years ago, my pit bull that I had, they got into a fight.
Forgot about that.
Damn near ripped my thumb off. I was at work 2 days later, cut, and then I had it stitched and bandaged up, and I had like 5 stitches here, and I was just like, fuck, I got to pay the medical bill. So,
right. Got to pay for this somehow.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah, I just thought about that.
Yeah.
Man. That's, so you were in like the corporate world for a while.
Yeah.
After Aldi's, right?
Yeah. Working for Aldi, just a shift manager, associate, trying to work my way up for a little over 5 years. Great company, great benefits. It was not for me long term. I almost felt like I was cooped up in a cage. You go in, you clock into the store, and it's like you don't see daylight for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And it was just depressing. And it's a great company, but it was just like, this is, I woke up one day and I was like, this shit's not for me.
Yeah.
So
what ultimately, kind of led you to go down the barber route? Because I remember in high school, you were always cutting. I remember you like cutting hair.
I was fucking everybody's hair after football. Sure. But we had fun. We were putting stars in people's head.
Well, yeah, because we did this thing called Team Week that I don't think they do anymore, right?
I think it's illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's illegal because one person may have died at one time.
Something.
No, I'm just kidding. Knock on wood, but. I don't even know that they can do 2-a-days anymore.
Yeah, because when Joe and I were in high school, we did this thing called Team Week, and it was fun. I mean, look, it was hard as fuck, but looking back on it now, like so fun. Like
Yeah.
looking like
Yeah.
some of the memories that we made. Like in
Yeah,
that
you
time.
feel like you're in a frat house,
Yes.
but you got to watch what you're doing because your
'Cause
coaches,
your coaches are there.
They're gonna make you do fucking running and up downs if you
Yes.
get caught. But
Exactly.
it
So-
was fun looking back.
Yeah, so basically what team week was it was like, that first week of August or whatever, when everybody's allowed to do 2-a-days for football season, we would have for the varsity team would have what's called team week, where we would basically stay at the school for a week straight and have 3 practices a day. And
Jeez.
we all had our air mattresses set up in the batting cages,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
we're eating
man.
every meal together. We're doing 3 practices a day together, and then one of the things that we would do is we'd all like shave our heads and like cut these, like, because we're not leaving the school, so we'd like shave these crazy like haircuts into our
Yeah, we were striping our eyebrows, and
like
I
people
think
would do like the old man haircut.
Yeah,
like
and
the
I think,
fucking stupid, like you just look stupid for a week. It was hilarious.
I think some people shave their eyebrows off too.
Yes, people would just
And,
do stupid shit.
We were thinking like, oh, when we get out next week and we're
Yeah.
partying, it'll look good. Nah, 6 months later, you finally got some fucking Sharpies on.
Yeah, so, but I remember you were always the guy cutting everybody's hair,
Oh,
even back
man.
then.
It
And
was
then I was
bad.
like, we should have known.
It
That
was
this
bad.
is the route you were gonna go.
That's the only other route I knew. I knew I wasn't, going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting. So
Yeah.
I got to figure some shit out,
Yeah.
You just always had a passion for cutting hair.
No, I just,
Huh?
it was
just something fun to do.
It was
Yeah.
something fun to do. We just bullshit, and if I fucked their hair up, they didn't care. And now it's like if I fuck somebody's hair up, they're tracking me down. But I did. Once I graduated from Missouri State, I started getting that passion. It was almost like when something interests me, I get obsessed about it. And I will research. I can't tell you how many YouTube videos I watched on how to fade somebody up. And it was just, my shit was trash right out of the gate. But, YouTube videos. And then it was kind of like, maybe I can do this. I don't think I'm going to put stars in people's heads anymore. But I think I can give a pretty good haircut. So, and I also thought, what is something I can do for the next 30, 40 years where my friends and new friends that I end up meeting and connections and relationships can, I can bullshit all day long and we can talk shit. You can come in and talk about whatever, but I'm still getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's cool.
it's a beautiful thing because, it's not, I'm still providing a service, but at the same time, we're just bullshitting
It's
around.
way better than stocking shelves.
Oh my God. At 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I remember because prior to COVID, Mike's Barbershop right there. Yeah, that's where I used to go. Those guys were fucking great. They're all old military guys. Every single one of them. I think they all might have even served together. But there was 5 of them, and the place was always busy, and it was such a fun atmosphere to be in. And then, unfortunately with COVID, everything got kind of shut down on them and wound up going to Iconic Mail. And I mean, I've been there ever since, but it's been
Which one do you go to?
the one on Manchester.
So my barber school owner.
Jessica and Eric Brown.
Eric was my school owner.
Yeah. So
he-
his wife runs the one
Good
on
dude.
Manchester.
Yeah.
Jessica, she's awesome. She's who cuts my hair.
Did they just open one in Ladue?
Creve
Coeur?
Creve
That's
Coeur,
right.
yeah. So that one's been around for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eric
Yeah.
runs that one out there. Jessica's got the one on Manchester. And yeah, I mean, I've been going to Jessica since 2020.
Yeah.
They were one of the few shops that were still open, and my neighbors all went to her. And
Yeah.
so I went in there, and yeah, she's been cutting my hair ever since. I just hung out with her
Yeah.
yesterday. She's awesome.
Yeah, they're good people, man.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Eric was cool. He gave me a scholarship because I was like, man, tuition, I wasn't getting a grant or anything. So he worked with me. We got through it. I had to sign a paper, keep my GPA up and all that stuff. I mean, barber school's not that hard, folks. Let's be honest.
What
I
is
passed.
barber school like? Like, is it like a
trade school?
Monday through Friday, or is it
It's
like
what is it? Tuesday. So typically barbershops are closed Mondays, so they kind of honored that too. And we would go Tuesday through Saturday, and there would be an hour and a half of book work and quizzes and tests and stuff for the first hour, and then you take a break, and then you're on the floor cutting or working on what you're doing in the book work, whether it be mannequins or whatever. I mean, I learned how to do cornrows. Like, I can't do it to this day, but I learned.
Yeah.
I learned how, but it was cool because well, I was the only white guy for like 9 months. So I got to see a side of barbering and a side of, culture and everything that, I had seen through boxing, but not every day next to each other. And it was the best experience I've ever had. So, Eric, man, I credit him to get me through barber school. So,
yeah, he's a good dude. He's super nice. Jessica's awesome. Now, like with barber school, I mean, because a lot of that is just one being social. Do they kind of work on that aspect in there? Do they teach that bedside manner as you would for being a barber?
They do. Main thing is like when somebody you don't know comes in, a client per se, or a future potential client, it's like, what do you talk about right off the bat, and when you're in barber school, you're kind of shell shocked right out of the gate. But for me anyways, it's like if somebody's nervous and they don't want to talk and they're going to shut down, may not be the industry for you, just because you're bullshitting with people all day long, talking personal life lessons, issues they got going on, no matter how serious it is. And I learned something when we were down in Missouri State from my, I think it was my marketing professor, and he said, it's either that or my sales professor, one of the two, doesn't matter, I graduated, right?
Yeah.
But it was
three Missouri State degrees here, baby.
Yeah.
So get that bear. And,
yeah. So he said, when you go into a sales pitch, pick out one thing that you see on the person, whether it be their shoes or their belt or the way, just something about what they're wearing, logo on their shirt, tattoo, anything. Ask them about it, because chances are it's going to get them rambling. And then you're going to pick up more stuff to sit there and talk about before you know it. 30, 40 minutes has gone by and you got a new client.
Right.
And
I think that's...
I was going to say, especially the tattoo stuff, because, I mean, it's almost like every tattoo has got a story and reason behind it.
Right.
And
then
somebody talking about that, it's usually a pretty deep meaning to them.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's I feel like it's just finding that one little thing. I mean, in that, like, I kind of learned that from waiting tables.
Yeah.
I waited tables for almost 10 years, and like that was one of the things. You kind of just got to make them your friend while you're there.
Right.
Because you're going to get a better tip.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's how it starts, but then it's like they do kind of become your friends over time, but it's still a business. So it's like if, somebody becomes my friend and I were to fuck them up or not do something the way they want, it's not personal to me. It's still business on that side. So, I can point you in a direction, somebody can get you together at a different shop, and it's nothing nothing personal for me. It's a business side. You can still call me tomorrow and I'll help you out with something, but probably won't fucking cut your hair again, But
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing? Obviously you don't have to include any names or anything, but what's the craziest thing you've heard while someone was in your chair?
There's too many to count, but the one that to this day cracks me up, me and Krabby, and I'm not gonna.
Don't say any names.
He'll know exactly who it is. Whenever he hopefully he sees this, but he comes in and he sits down and he goes, "Man, you ever tried Viagra?" and now mind you, he's 31, 32 years old, so I'm like, nah, man, like, how'd that work out for you? Like, you got something going on, or like, you need to talk about it? He's like, nah, it was fucking awesome. he's like, this chick I was hooking up with, man, like, she actually got pissed because I lasted too long. And I'm just like, all right, remind me I'm not trying Viagra until I need it, like my wife would not like that, but that was like one thing that sticks out to this day because it was just so out of left field,
You're going to see he comes in, he's pitching a tent. Took it before you just thought I'd take it for a goof.
Yeah, I'm taking my before and after, and the dude's fucking got a big ass rod in his pants.
He's getting at the beginning photo and the after photo.
Yeah.
And when he comes back in 3 weeks later,
oh fuck.
Oh man,
it's funny.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah. There's so many stories.
Oh,
like
sure.
We could get rambling, and it's ridiculous, the shit I hear.
Oh, I'm sure.
I try to keep it, between the clients that tell me, but then I have their friends that I also cut.
Yeah.
So I'll start to rile shit up between them, you know. I'll be like, hey, heard your buddy's taking Viagra, you know? Like, what's going on with him, man? Is he all right?
Oh, I'm sure it's probably someone we went to high school with.
Oh, you know them for sure. We won't give names. But
well, speaking of that, it's like what's something that being a barber taught you about people that no other career could have?
you got to be thick-skinned, I think. I think one of my downfalls when I was right out of college at Aldi's, I wasn't boss material. I wasn't the guy that would hold you accountable. I was like the guy that would go behind you and fix the shit just to make sure it got done right instead of kind of delegating and just trusting you're going to do it. And as I've got into barbering and stuff, it's like it's one-on-one. So your business is, you know, I'm booth rent, so my own boss. Yeah, that's right. Fuck you, Sonny. No, I'm just kidding. He's an A1, man. He's an OG, but it's one-on-one. So if somebody gets pissed off at you, you kind of have to deal with it in a way that, you know, it's not Aldi that's looking bad. Now it's me looking bad. So I have to kind of spin it to where they're happy or whatever, you know. And if somebody's like, hey, you know, I don't like this, can we fix it? You know, I can't take that personal. There's a lot of things back in the day I would take personal and get defensive about. And now it's like, well, how am I going to rekindle this business? How am I not going to break that bridge? You know, keep it going.
Makes complete sense. I mean, we could totally relate to that for sure in our businesses.
Absolutely.
100%. Well, how do you balance the discipline of boxing with the creativity of being a barber? Do they kind of bleed into each other, or?
Yeah, and I think that's part of that has to do with where I work at Sonny's Barbershop. I mean, it's obviously Sonny Liston themed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
it's Sonny. So is that Sonny? That is his name, right? Or no?
The owner?
Yeah.
Well, I won't say his legal name
But
because
I know he always goes by Sonny. I just thought
I always fuck with him. I'm like, you want me to call you by your slave name? But that's because that's not me being racist. That's just because that's the camaraderie we have every single day, you know.
Yeah,
and
you guys bicker back and forth. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and I won't put his legal name out on the table like that. But
Yeah.
so his great uncle was the heavyweight champ, Sonny Liston.
I didn't know.
No
that.
shit.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not know that. Okay.
That's cool.
And his great uncle's first name was actually Charles Sonny Liston. So with the shop being based,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like there's
based
boxing
around
stuff.
Sonny and the
Yeah.
boxing stuff, I think he wants to keep his uncle's legacy going on. So he just kind of adopted Sonny, you know, and some of his old little hoodlums and stuff will come in and they'll call him by his legal name, and that's when me and Krabby just give him shit and chime in, man. It's pretty funny.
So
you
is it
know?
just the three of you guys there, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I've never seen anybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So nobody wants to learn from Sonny. No. Great. He's a great teacher. He actually just got his educator's license, I think, a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So, you know, trying to get a couple apprentices in there. A lot of people want to do the crossover thing. So it's very hard to get somebody, you know, later 20s, early 30s to get in there, and because you're not going to be making much money right out of the gate. So how are you going to support your family? How are you going to still show up 8 hours a day to get your clock hours in?
Yeah.
So, you know, it is hard. You got to almost find a younger kid that is at home with his parents still, or her parents still.
And what do you mean by the crossover?
So you could do cosmetology, or you could do barbering. Barbering in Missouri, we actually have a kind of a low hour. It's 1,000 hours in Missouri unless they upped it. It's 1,500 hours for Cosmo. You learn more, you know, hands-on chemical work, perms, coloring, all that stuff with cosmetology. Obviously, learn nails and waxing. Sonny tries to wax people, but I don't know what he does. He locks that door back there. But the crossover is
Gotcha.
the crossover. They teach you from cosmetology how to use the straight razor.
Okay.
So you just put 45 or 50 hours in on the clock, and then you just go take state board. And instead of doing all of the state board for barbering specifically, you just do the straight razor. Okay. And then that just allows them to be barbers also. And I don't use quotations to, you know, degrade them by any means. It is an awesome thing because nobody uses straight razors anymore. It seems like.
Yeah,
So.
no, it's whenever you whip that thing out, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, well, don't say that.
No, whenever you pull out the straight razor,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I think it's, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, getting any Cosmo into it is honestly, it's a good thing because we need to keep the legacy of using a straight razor and the old, barbershop
Yeah,
swag going on.
for sure.
So
It's like a old school, like
Yeah,
cool thing for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Well, with all the time that you've been in it, what kind of changes have you seen within styles and things like that, and where do you kind of see styles continuing to go?
It's almost like everything else, it goes around and history just keeps repeating itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, a couple years back, it was the whole blowout Edgar hairstyle where it looks like a big ass mushroom on their head with the taper and blowout in the back and the front. And now, after that, some people are liking the little flip up in the front. These girls, they're calling it an ice cream scoop. I don't know what the hell that means, but these kids get out of the shower and they put a ball cap on their head and they'll sit there and fucking blow dry it and curl it out. So it's like, and then they're, feathering it and doing it, growing their hair out and almost going the surfer look. And then it's like,
I'm like the mullet.
The mullet made a comeback.
Mullet 5 years ago, we had probably 10 to 15 mullets a week that came into that shop. I still like doing them. I think they're badass, but they got their place now. Not everybody wants them. So, and the only haircut that stays consistently true is the old man comb over, maybe throw a fade in there, or taper, and you're golden.
Or the military high and tight.
Or the military high and tight.
Yeah, that's
So,
what you got.
yeah, baby.
That's what I'm gonna get.
Well, and I got a big ass forehead, so yeah, fuck you, Krabby. I can put my whole fucking hand on that thing. I'll be sweating. You can see yourself in it. So,
Well, what's the difference between a taper and a fade?
a taper,
Said
Dep-
both those there.
yeah. So the fade's gonna be all the way around your head.
Okay.
The taper is typically just in the back and your sideburn areas and your temples, but you can also taper it around the ears and everything. So everything around it basically is tapering up and out to the shape of your head.
Got it. Okay.
So that way, when your hair grows back out, it's not growing out fucking over your ears like a fucking mop or something. So,
What's been the craziest ask for a haircut so far?
I don't even want to talk about it.
I don't want to give anybody any ideas.
Bro, so oh man. We call it the soccer ball incident of 2020. They were going to vacation somewhere and the kids wanted designs and I got asked to do a soccer ball. And yeah, so we'll just say by the end of it, it looked more like a globe. It looked just like the circle chunk, and I just had a couple fucking blotches in there. There was no symmetry at all. Like the kid was walking out, and I'm pretty sure he was crying, and I felt horrible, and I was gonna compensate him for like no charge, do the whole, just take care of him, but they lied. The mom was like, "That looks fantastic," and I was like, "Who the fuck are you lying to?"
Let me check your prescription. On
Yeah,
your
I'm like,
glasses,
what?
lady.
And I think that's where the personal thing comes back around. They didn't want to offend me.
Sure.
I knew it was ass. It was terrible, like they shouldn't have paid for that cut, nor did I want them to. But they're sitting there lying to me, so
I'll take your money.
yeah, it is what it is. I mean, unfortunately, but don't nowadays I tell people if you want a crazy design or something, don't come to me, please.
Yeah.
I'm not that artistic. I'm autistic, not artistic. So
That's hilarious.
yeah, design's definitely not my thing. So that was, to this day, that's still, I mean, it's just locked in. That's the worst thing that's probably ever happened.
The soccer ball.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do what are the hexagons that are on there, like a bunch of little fucking hexagons all over the place. It's just
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Well, has there ever been a moment in the ring or the shop where you're just like, "Fuck, man, I'm done," but you push through anyway?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is, especially in the ring, like that mental barrier I was talking about earlier This was my first fight where I was finally like, okay, I need to keep going. Like, I still got some in the gas tank. I can keep getting up and going. And I mean, I think I got knocked down 3 or 4 times in the damn fight with body shots. You know, I was pissing blood for a week, but
Really?
it was actually, I hate to say it, maybe it's because I'm crazy, but it was fun, you know, and then, you know, that translates over into barbering. So I'm just like, you know, just keep calm. If something's like, oh, fuck, it's like, there's got to be a way to fix it. It's what you're trained for. You know, you got to be able to adjust. That soccer ball was not getting adjusted unless we were bicking his head. So, but yeah, I mean, you definitely face these barriers, especially in the ring. I would say more than anything, because you have to worry about the other person too, fighting at the same time. So if I'm trying to adapt, you might be adapting at the same time. So.
Right.
You know, and barbering, I feel like I have a little more control over, just because I do it every day, and the person sitting in my chair doesn't. You know, it's my expertise versus they're not expertise.
Right.
So it's like, you know.
Well, you can't ever see what, you know, typically you're facing away from the mirror. I can't see what it's
Right,
looking like
right,
until it's always done,
right,
until it's always
right.
done anyway. So.
Yeah, some people will still, you know, keep them facing like great clips at the mirror, and I'm like, no, man, like we do it old school. That's why they say barbers stand behind the chair, you know, and why do I want, you know, have to be walking all around and shit? Like, let's make this easy,
Yeah,
you
you stay in
know.
the same place, you move me.
And you guys like it when I spin it around and shit, you know.
Yeah, well,
It's like
I
a
think-
ride.
and
Yeah,
I like the I like the anticipation of the reveal at the end too.
Yeah,
Like, there's
yeah,
something
and
cool
and I
with that.
think that's one of my favorite parts too. Like I just cut green yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
and,
It was sick. He had a mullet. Holy fuck.
The one good thing I love about Alex Green, man, he lets his shit go, and it will go, and then it looks terrible, but then he'll call me and he'll be like, "All right, I need you to work some magic," and then we will, and then he'll let it go again.
Yeah.
But he always looks good when we clean it up, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's the transformation part. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Alex Green in forever. Yeah, I saw you the
Yeah.
post you did yesterday, and I was like, oh shit, I haven't seen him in years.
Hadn't seen him since I cut his hair a
Yeah.
year ago. You know? So
That's funny.
good dude though. I mean, you always try to stay in contact.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, we played football.
Yeah, speaking of transformations, I mean, would you say that his is one of the better, like, biggest transformations that you see with a client, that you've had with a client, or is there one that just sticks out? Like,
I wouldn't say any one sticks out. It's just there may be 1 or 2 a month that you're like you see only once every few months or a year, and those are the ones that are good transformations.
Yeah.
Most of your clients are coming back on a pretty regular
Regular
basis, so it's mainly just like maintaining everything.
Yeah, like I'm a every 3 to 4 weeks kind of guy, so it
Yeah.
doesn't get too
have
crazy.
you officially made the decision to go bald yet?
Dude, I forgot to tell. I guess I'll bring it up on here. I've been debating on just fucking just cleaning it all off.
Do it.
Should I? You wanna
Yeah.
do it tomorrow?
Do it.
Come home and shock my wife. She doesn't want me to, but I'm like, I want to. I bought one of those fucking head shavers and everything.
Now, what's she scared of? Why did she not want you to?
I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Are you
We'll
gonna
have
look
to-
like a little boner?
I don't think.
No,
I,
I'm
I don't
just
think I
kidding.
have that weird of a head.
No,
Like, I think I have
no,
a pretty-
and you got a beard too. The
Yeah.
good thing is if you have a beard, I'm like, man, if you're losing your hair, you're thinking about shaving it, just shave it.
Yeah.
Fuck it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
If it grows back, it grows back. If it doesn't, then it's meant to be. So, you know.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do that tomorrow because I just booked a haircut for
Yeah.
tomorrow anyway. So yeah, we'll see. I think
If you-
might be the game plan.
Well, you need to see the transformation pics on that, and then
Yeah.
we'll send it over to Murph and put him on the
Oh yeah.
have him clip him in on this.
Clipping in on this, yeah, yeah. He ended up doing it.
He did it.
Yeah, because I'll get my haircut before this one will come out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Well, let's switch back into the father side of things. So, how do you think stepping into fatherhood, both biologically and as a stepdad, reshapes your identity as a man?
You know, you think you're so manly growing up, or you try to be, right? You try to be this tough guy, and then 2 girls come in your life. Well, 4.
yeah.
But one of them's a dog and the other's my wife. But you know, these 2 young girls come in my life, and it's almost like, okay, you gotta step up or get out. And I they were just too fun, you know, and it was, we just were kind of growing together. I guess I just got them at a, you know, I came into their lives at a good, they were kind of both on the more mature side. So they kind of understood, you know, it's not my dad, but I got to respect him. And for me, it's patience. Like I said earlier, it's especially when you have girls. I mean, you have to sugarcoat it. Like, you can't tell them, like, shut the fuck up. Like, or like, get your ass over here. Like, you hey, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard, but I think back to the whole whatever the stigma is being a man. I think you kind of got to take a step back, because it's like, to me now, it's like if you go out and you take care of your shit and you handle your family and your job and everything else, and then have fun afterwards, I think you're a man. You know, I think you're a father. I think you're a dad. I think you're an OG. I call people gangsters every day, and they're probably thinking I'm fucking with them, and I'm like, no, dude, you're out there handling your shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Gangster.
Yeah, it's fucking gangster. I don't care if you're taking your daughter to ballet. That's gangster. Like, that's some G shit if you show up, you know? I mean, that's my mentality nowadays. So, you know, definitely changed me as a person.
Yeah.
Softened me up, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing, though. I mean, I think that ultimately, I mean, we were just on a podcast yesterday and we were talking about this, but I think ultimately, like, as a man, like, being able to have both that vulnerability as well as that strength and being able to equal them out and have the emotional intelligence too is huge. I think that's one of the biggest things about being a man.
100% agree.
So,
Do since, you know, being a stepfather and soon to be father, do you think that's changed the way that you've seen your own childhood at all?
You know, I will say, you know, coming from parents early on that were divorced, I think by the time I was 3 or 4, and I watched 2 parents fight for a while, you know, years trying to figure this shit out. But then I see them now, and, you know, once we hit high school, they were kind of like, okay, well, you're the parent, like, you're the mother of my child, you're the father of my child, so regardless of what I like or we get along or not, like, let's fucking make it work. Now they're like best friends.
Really?
Which I think's awesome. I think, you know, especially stepping in, being a stepfather, I mean, co-parenting it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, seeing that on the other side of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pain in the ass sometimes getting the parents on the same page, but, you know, sometimes you got to do it, and I think if you co-parent and you're not trying to control everything. I mean, there's other parents in the situation. I think it helps the kids progress socially and emotionally.
what kind of relationship do you have with her, with your stepkid's dad?
Honestly, really well. You know, if his wife and my wife are kind of getting into it or anything, I'll just text him.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be like, hey, what the fuck's going on? Like, let's just like figure this shit out, because, you know, you're listening to the girls bicker back and forth and it's not going anywhere. Right. So, you know, I have I would say a really great relationship with him and his family, and they know, you know, I'm not trying to be dad. I'm just trying to be extra dad, you know, like not trying to one up anybody, but I'm there to help. So, you know, if I didn't, you know, and like I said, with my parents, you know, my dad and first stepdad did not get along, but my first stepdad was a huge piece of shit. So, you know, there was a reason why they didn't get along, because my pop saw right through that shit. But, you know, I feel like the flip side of that, I learned from that, and I was just like, okay, if we can have common ground somewhere, we're good. And he's a great dude. You know, I'd get a beer with him today if we needed to discuss stuff, but.
Yeah. So I'm on the flip side of that. So I'm divorced. And my ex-wife, her boyfriend, they've been together for 3 years now. And I thought one of the cool things that he did was reach out to me and say, hey, look, can we go grab a drink? And we're both big bourbon dry. If you haven't been able to notice, we got bourbon all over the place in here, but we're both big bourbon guys and cigar guys. So he's like, hey man, I would love to just get together and chat. And so we sat down, and the first time, it was probably 6 months after everything went down, or with the divorce and all that. Right. And so sat down with him about 6 months later, and, you know, we just had a drink and was kind of talked, like it was cool because he was just like, well, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Like, how do you want to parent your kids? Like, I know I'm not dad, like you said. I'm bonus dad. I'm like, no, you're just as much their dad as I am when I'm not there. So I want you. I was like, honestly, like, I'm pretty, I've got my values, and I explained those to him, and I was just like, honestly, like, as long as you're not hitting my kids, we're gonna be okay. And if there's anything you ever have questions on, we can always do this again. And so it's kind of been like a regular thing for us for the last few years, where we get together and grab drinks and just kind of talk about like each milestone. Like, we got when Connor went and my oldest went into kindergarten, we met right before there, like, hey, how are we going to adjust with Connor going into kindergarten?
Right.
And so, and we'll probably do the same thing with my youngest heading into kindergarten and things like that. And now that they're getting into sports, I mean, I'm with them all the time. I've got a better relationship now with my ex-wife than I did when we were married. And a lot of that has to do with him as well, just because he kind of had that, the wherewithal to be like, hey, we're all in this together.
Right.
And, it's not that I didn't want to have a relationship with him. It was just, wasn't really like top of mind at the moment.
Right.
But like, it was great that he took that initiative and was like, hey man, let's sit down and figure this out. And so, like, yeah, I mean, hell, we went to, my parents live in Florida. And so anytime we go down there, my parents will invite all of us. And so to make it easy with travel, my ex-wife will fly down there with the boys. It's like an hour and a half flight.
See, and that's awesome.
And so, and then him and I load up the car with our dog and drive down. And him and I spend 10, 11 hours in the car together, just chit-chatting, bullshit and all this stuff. And, it is kind of funny because I ended up dating his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So
just wife swap.
It's how the cookie crumbles.
Right. So yeah, it was just kind of funny. Just some of the stuff that we were talking about on the way down there that you're just like, wow, didn't think we'd have that conversation, but here we are.
We're Eskimo bros.
Yeah.
But
twice over.
Yeah, twice over.
But on a serious note, from what you were saying, I think that speaks a lot about who you are as a man, that you can take a step back and kind of be like, okay, he is trying to, reach out and it's for good.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to step in and cause shit.
It's all about the kids. And I think
help.
that's one of the things that gets forgotten within a divorce.
Right.
And, it's just one of those things where you're just like, we got to do what's best for the kids. Like my ex-wife and I were always on the same page for co-parenting. We still work together. She's also a real estate agent. And then, and Dalton's a real estate agent, her boyfriend. So like I work with both of them.
Right.
And, we're all like, never had an issue there. It's just her and I, just relationship wise, it wasn't a thing. So, which is fine. It wasn't meant to be. We were brought together to make two badass kids, and that's great. So, but I did want to ask, because this was something that was both of my ex-wife and I have talked about this, and it's kind of it's a fear of mine. Well, I'm done with having kids now, but right when it happened, that was still on the table talking about having more kids. And one of the things like our biggest fear is, and I was just curious if your wife has ever brought this up or anything like that, but like having another kid and that child staying with us full time while the other kids go back and forth, and them not feeling as loved as the one that's staying put. Is that something that ever you guys have had a conversation about, or how that might affect them?
It's definitely sometimes an issue, but I think it's more of like a mental issue, and it's more of an insecurity issue with everyone involved. So I do, sometimes my wife doesn't know it. Sometimes I will try to text the older stepdaughter and tell her good luck at cheer and stuff like that. Because I don't, she is with her dad 50% of the time. So it is, she will go out to eat sometimes, and it's how it works out.
Right.
But, I try to still keep her included because, she has a room at our house, obviously, and she always will. So it's like she's just as much a part of the family as Isabel, the younger one, and our to-be child. So it's like, but it is, especially when they're at the other parent's house for, multiple days or a week, sometimes you get wrapped up in life, and it's like, man, I need to text my other kid.
Right.
I need to text my other fucking kids so she knows I'm not a shitty parent, but no, just trying to keep up with her. She's old, getting older now. She's 16. So it is hard to keep up with her, but just shooting a text, means the world, I think, to her. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want her to feel left out. I mean, I love her all the same. She's just not there all the time.
Right.
So, you know,
Something I never thought about.
And that both her and I had that concern that we were just that the kids would feel kind of, especially at the ages that they are right now, that if either one of us were to have another one, that they would feel like they were less loved because they would have to leave
right.
one or the other.
Right.
So,
well, yeah. And I wish in a perfect world, we could go on vacation and stuff with her dad and stepmom and everything, because it would make things so much easier for her and her, her progress as a human being socially. Right. But, unfortunately we don't. But I think like you guys do, and the people that do, it's like, you guys got it figured out. Like, because it's about the kids. It's like, everybody else, take your fucking ego out of it. And it's not about
that's
us.
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Ego gets in the way of a lot of shit.
Right. And that, like you said, you're on board, you're on the same page with your ex's boyfriend. Me and McKenna's dad, like he told me straight up, he's like, like you said, as long as you're not hitting my kid or doing something out of line, like, you have my full permission to do whatever necessary to, put her back in line. I would never hit my kid, but, I feel like my kid might hit me some days.
I think you're not a slip of punch, right?
No, not that good. Them girls are feisty, boy.
New sparring partners.
Yeah.
I'd lose. I'll tell you that.
Oh man. So how do you stay present, grateful in the grind when you got fights, family, business pulling at you all the time?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have support. I didn't, obviously you can't run a business without clientele. You can't, progress each year and continue to grind and build your business without a mentality like, okay, it's just going to keep getting better and better and better. But at the same time, you do have to mentally be content in the sense that it's like, okay, I've already made it here. So let's just maintain it and keep it positive and keep it going. Don't, if some wrench gets thrown in the story at home or, in life on anything, it's like, all right, let's figure it out. Like, and it sometimes, you do get wrapped up because it's like, you feel like you make all these connections and it's like, sometimes you feel like, hey, I cut 90% of my buddies, or I cut, Sonny's like, oh, I cut half of St. Louis, like, get the fuck out of here, but you do. Sometimes you get your ego and it's like, dude, we just cut hair. We cut hair and we're therapists. Like,
yeah.
And with boxing, it's just like, you got to kind of be, for me anyways, you got to be more humble in the sense that I'm 34. I'm never going to go out and fight for a world belt. I'm not Jake Paul. I don't have the fucking name recognition or the money behind me. I got a good ass trainer and a great team behind me, but we're just going to do what we can at each step. So it's like, kind of just got to stay in my lane, so to say, like, really, I'm not even going to act like I know anything about it. So
yeah,
I'm buying a house now and it's miserable. Like,
you got a good agent.
Yeah, I do. I do. Allie's awesome. Yeah. She's made it really easy for us.
Jovanovich.
Yeah. She's over at Keller.
Yeah,
she's
my office.
Keller Williams. Yeah. She's been great. She's made it very easy. I've never bought a house myself before, so just taking us down that road and getting us approved, because even though we're married and my wife owns the house on her name, it's like, well, I still get the FHA. So, just her being aware of that stuff and communicating and everything, it's been like awesome, made it very easy, especially being a first time home buyer. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Awesome, man.
Nothing but good things to say.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. That's a big
Appreciate
milestone.
you. Yeah, we got a lot of shit going on right now.
Big
sure.
day's coming up soon. So
Yeah.
It'll soon be behind you.
Yeah.
You'll be in the new house.
I'm hoping,
old house
yeah.
sold,
Yeah, then we got to just new issues at the new house,
Yeah.
Just hopes the HVAC or something doesn't fuck up,
Yeah. Maybe that warranty's not a terrible idea.
Yeah, get a home warranty.
Yeah, I got who do we got? We got
choice.
I almost said fucking Safe Light, bro.
Safe light repair. Safe light.
Hey, if you need a windshield, I probably got somebody there. But what, American Home Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got them. So if we're gonna transfer it to the new house.
Sweet.
But,
Yeah, that's the move.
Because when I try to fix stuff, it'll take me 3 days and I'll fuck it up even worse. And then they'll come out and they'll be like, "Did you touch this?" And I'm like,
No.
No, that was like that for 3 years, bro.
I don't know. We bought the house. It was like, I don't know.
I'm like, the last time with our furnace, he came over and he like pulled the door off and it broke a piece that I had already broken. And I was like, I tried to pull the Tommy boy, like, dude, what'd you do? But it didn't work. It definitely did not work.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, if your stepdaughters watch this, your future child could hear this conversation in 20 years, what would you want them to take away from that about their dad's mentality?
Just do what you love, whether it be sports, whether it be your job, your career, really anything. I mean, especially with your career, I try to preach to my stepdaughters now, and I'll continue to preach to them. Just the money will follow within reason, obviously. I can't tell you like, oh, I want to be a manager long-term of a snow cone shack. Like, okay, come on, get real. Unless you own that snow cone shack, then we're talking, but don't settle. I don't want them to settle for anything because it's the safe route. I felt like, coming out of college, I had to take that safe route. You got to start paying student loans and all that shit. And you're broke getting out of college. So you're getting on your feet. So I kind of took that safe route and I was kind of stuck in that rat race for 5-6 years. And it's like, I look up on Google and I see what barbers are making and it's let's just say it's a lot more than what Google, gives them credit for. But I just took the risk and I want my kids to be able to take the risk and know that, when they do fall, because they will fall, whether it's in, life, social, progress, anything, college, school, job, that they got to be able to figure it out. You're going to get your knees scraped. You're going to get fucked up over life. People are going to screw you over. You just got to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, bet on yourself.
Yeah,
man.
right.
That's awesome.
Joe, it's been great having you on here, man.
Oh,
Is there anything else we wanted to cover before we get you out of here?
Man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
It's been fun. Never did a podcast before.
Yeah,
So
I'm glad you could come on and do one with us.
I
dude.
feel like I need to bust out a rap or something.
Go for it.
No,
We've
no.
had somebody do it before. It was
Yeah,
one of our
no.
most popular clips. Go for it.
I don't want to embarrass the barbershop anymore than I already have. So, No, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was
Absolutely.
awesome
Sure.
experience. So
Great, man.
Well, we like to surprise our guests with one last question. Play a little game called the Tombstone Game. Okay, so excuse me. Here lies Joe. What's it say on your tombstone?
craziest motherfucker. No, yeah, I mean, fucking put whatever.
All right.
Honestly, great friend, great dad, always there.
Perfect.
Perfect. Love it. All right. Well, thanks to everybody that tuned into the show. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button for it yet, that would be huge if you could do that for us. Click that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.